Welcome to episode number 4 of the Ultra RC Hobbies Show. Remember, it'll be airing on Facebook and YouTube, 7 o'clock on Fridays. So tonight, what are we going to talk about, Chris?
Well, we're going to show you some trucks running. We're going to go over some new tools, the rest of the 2 that Aaron showed you earlier.
It was actually 3, that should have been 4. But hey, that's minor details. I think we have a couple questions on a Q&A, 2 really good actually questions stood out to Chris and I. So we're going to talk about them tonight. And then we'll kind of give you a sneak peek of something that Chris has been working on. He just finished building the Lowrider Midnight Pumpkin and the MX5, MO5 from Tamiya. So we're going to talk about those in some later videos as well. But you got to stay tuned to see some more in-depth on those, but we also did post some pictures on Facebook. So if you do want to get a little bit of a sneak peek before the video airs, you can go on our Facebook page as well.
So first up, we have a video of my Axial Yeti running on the sand from this spring.
Yeah, so there was a couple of videos that we took kind of all over the place, actually, on the beach, and we didn't really do anything about it last week because we had Tim on the show, so we're gonna throw that in today.
That's what it goes to be like jump into it. See, it's clean.
See, it's clean. That's how you clean an RC.
So continuing on from last week's episode, we said we were going to talk about 3 more tools, and the tools we're going to talk about are going to start with side cutters. These things come in handy all the time. You ever break an axle pin and you're like, dang, what am I going to do to replace my axle pin because I have 2-wheel drive and now it's only 1-wheel drive because I only have 1 pin in my hex. Take a handy dandy body clip here, cut it to size, boom, axle clip. So side cutters.
Handy.
Yeah, another good tool to have, and this only applies to some vehicles, like the 2-wheel drive Rustlers, Stampedes, Bandits. They use a lot of Phillips, so have a really good Phillips bit. Sometimes you do have to grind the tip off just a little bit because they do get a little pointy and they don't fit all the way in, but a good Phillips goes a long way. And the last one is needle nose pliers. I know these things can make people bleed and do stuff like that when you pinch your finger, but they're great. You get a body clip stuck, you can pull it out. Axle pins, things that you don't really want falling on the ground, you can always use your handy dandy needle nose pliers and pull things out that way. So not as fancy as the first tools because really they're just small little hand tools, but people always forget that you never really need anything crazy fancy. Whatever you probably honestly already have in the garage goes a long way in your toolbox as well. So is there anything that you like to add that we missed?
I don't know. Well, the Phillips bits also used in Tamiya's.
I guess, eh? That's most of their builds.
And needing those pliers will work really good for holding nuts and getting them into tight spots on the crawlers.
Yep. Also bending body clips. I know lots of people like to bend body clips up at a 45 or a 90, so they're just a little bit easier to grab out. But I think that's...
I use side cutters to pop out ball ends.
Hey, I use that all the time. I totally forgot. So there you go. There was the rest of our 7 that was 8, but it's really back to 7 tools. So hope you guys enjoyed. So we got 2 great questions this week from customers that followed us on Facebook and also stopped in, gave us some really cool things. So Chris is going to take question number 1. So what was the question, Chris?
Yeah, the first one came from Charles. He's a beginner. He's got himself a Slash, and he wondered what was the first thing he should probably upgrade on his truck. And any Traxxas vehicle, I usually always recommend the rear axle carriers or the front knuckles, because you're always going to be smashing into something with either the front or the back. And these guys, they're going to save you a lot of time. You're not breaking the stock parts.
Yeah, and the nice thing that a lot of people forget about RPM is it is still a plastic product, but the greatest advantage of RPM products is they have a lot more nylon in the plastic. So it still stays a little bit more flexible, doesn't break as often, and they also do offer a lifetime warranty through the company. So if you want more details on that, you can send us a couple questions on there and we can send you all the information you need. But again, cheaper and lighter than aluminum, so you're not gonna break more stuff. So
Keep you
RPM
bashing.
definitely is the way to go. Okay, and question number 2 came from Dean. And Dean asked, is it required to use some type of thread lock on certain items, and what kind do you prefer, liquid, paste, and how much should I use? So that's actually a really good question. A lot of people don't use Loctite, and you always want to use Loctite on anything metal to metal. So if you're putting a screw on the end of your clutch bell into your crankshaft, you want to use Loctite on that. If you have a loose wheel nut that just doesn't seem to stay on and lock down all the way, use a dab of thread lock. I know personally here in store, I really like the liquid Loctite. So I like to put it on the bench just with a little glob. And the nice thing is when you have the screw on your screwdriver, you can just go in, take a little dab of it and put it on the threads and put it right in. I know there is a gel and a actual glue stick. The gel I don't personally like as much. It's a little bit harder to use, and the glue stick's about the same. You make a lot more of a mess than what it's worth.
Exactly.
And you don't need a lot. A little bit of thread lock goes a long way. The biggest thing that lots of people forget though is just let it set. Give it a good 10-15 minutes to set up, because it is a liquid, so it dries in the absence of air. So if you don't give it time to dry, it's not gonna hold like a thread lock should. So I guess that's my biggest tip with thread lock. Is there anything else you wanted to add? Like, what do you personally like? Do you like the liquid
I
or
like
the
using
gel?
the liquid. Liquid is always readily available at any store, so it's always easy to use.
Yeah.
The paste or the stick always seems to make a mess trying to put the lid back on or squeeze it out.
Yeah.
So liquid is always just easier.
Yeah. Agreed. So that was the Q&A from episode number 4. I can't even come back from that. Okay, you ready?
No. Yes.
So last week we had Tim from PA on the show with his bright green Axial Wraith. Chris did a great job walking you through that with Tim. But today we're gonna see some running videos.
Finally.
Yeah, I know everyone was waiting and commenting like, hey, you did that segment, but where was the running videos? So here you guys go. Here's Tim's Wraith.
Oh, damn. We're gonna go for a test drive.
Awesome videos upcoming Facebook video at 7 p.m.
Can you launch it off here, Tim? Tim? Can you do this? So we got the good old Axial Wraith out here today. Do some ripping. Some sweet stunts. So this is first gear, top speed. Getting to high.
So that's the end of episode number
that's
4 of the Ultra RC Hobbies Show. Again, it's going to be on Facebook and YouTube, 7 o'clock Friday night. So make sure you tune in on each one of those platforms. Don't forget to follow us on Snapchat, Ultra RC Hobbies. And we just kind of finished up putting some more items on our online site, which is also brand new. So don't forget to check that out at ultrarchobbies.com. And yeah, it's episode number 4 already. This is
Like, comment, and subscribe.
yeah, I always forget that.
Gotta
But
do
yeah,
it.
remember the Q&A section. If you guys post videos either on Facebook or YouTube, we can put them on the Q&A and comment. Like, we always like interacting with people and seeing what people are doing. So even down on this video, make sure post what you're working on, what you drove today. We always like seeing cool stuff like that because it shows that everyone's out in the hobby enjoying it, having fun. So yeah, thanks for tuning in, everybody. We will see you next week.